Hello, everyone. My name is George.
Hello, my name is Quincy.
Hello, my name is Ali.
My name is Gavin. This is our presentation on climate anxiety. So, what is climate anxiety? Climate anxiety is a term that is used to describe how people like us perceive, fear, even dread climate change. It can cause good things like motivating us to work towards a solution against climate change, but it can also cause negative effects, such as causing us to feel hopeless or that the fight against climate change is all for nothing. And now I'm passing it on to George to talk about what causes climate anxiety.
Thank you, Gavin. So, what causes climate anxiety? In a paper titled A Social Ecological Perspective on Climate Anxiety in Children and Adolescents, Crandon et al. Identified some factors that influence climate anxiety. In their model, they found factors that range from an individual level to a societal one. On a small scale, for instance, parents and other family members shape children's perspective on climate change by communicating their values and beliefs. For instance, particularly in families already facing significant consequences of climate change, the way parents choose to discuss and teach their children about these is relevant to their climate anxiety. Schools share a similar responsibility. While a lack of education could lead them to feel disempowered or confused, a strong education can do the opposite. As the authors noted, quote, an accurate understanding of climate change is necessary to develop agency and empowerment, end quote. Zooming out, the paper explains some larger scale factors. For example, social media and online news allow for the widespreading of information. However, because of biases and the filter bubbles that reinforce them, the people who are already anxious about the climate may feel worse through the news that they receive. They also mention a lack of governmental response as a factor, and this idea is expanded on in this next paper. In this paper, Hickman et al. Conducted a survey of 10,000 older teens and young adults around the world. Participants were asked questions about their thoughts and emotions regarding climate change and how their government is responding to it. The chart here on screen summarizes their findings on how much participants were either felt reassured or betrayed by their government. For time, I will not cover the exact way these numbers are calculated. If you're interested, this paper is in our sources at the end of this presentation. But the main point here is that participants tended to feel more betrayed than reassured by government response. And interestingly, this is a pattern that holds true across many different areas. And with that, I would like to pass it on to Ali.
Thank you, George. So some recent developments that have furthered climate anxiety in some people is the Supreme Court case West Virginia versus the Environmental Protection Agency from 2022. When the Environmental Protection Agency was acting upon the Clean Power Plan, some people were complaining that this is executive overreach. And then it went to the Supreme Court, and they ruled that yes, it was executive overreach in the way that the Environmental Protection Agency was trying to run. So this has caused us to not have the government agencies that we need that could prevent these disasters. And the Clean Power Plan, which is what the Environmental Protection Agency was going to act upon, could have prevented about 3,600 premature deaths, 1,700 heart attacks, 90,000 asthma attacks, and 300,000 missed school and work days. This could have an incredible economic benefit if the Environmental Protection Agency was actually allowed to act upon this. This was discovered by Kaiser et al. In 2022. And yeah, these recent developments can really further climate anxiety, seeing how these economic benefits that we could have had were struck down in the Supreme Court. And with that, I'm going to pass it off to Quincy to talk about the next one.
Thank you, Ali. I'll be talking about the impacts of climate change or climate anxiety. Um, Here, the first slide will be from another Hickman graph, and this one is reflective of global feelings towards about climate change or climate anxiety. So one key takeaway is that many people are experiencing strong emotional responses to climate change, including feelings like sadness, helplessness, and guilt. What's especially important is that this isn't just general concern. Nearly half of respondents said these feelings actually affect their daily lives, which shows how widespread and impactful climate anxiety has become. We also see that levels of anxiety tend to be higher in the global south, likely because those regions are more directly exposed to the effects of climate change. If we go to the next slide, we're looking more at the US level, specifically. The concern has been steadily increasing over time. A growing number of people fall into the category of being very worried or even alarmed. And for some individuals, that can translate into stress, difficulty disconnecting from climate-related information, or feeling overwhelmed. Overall, while climate anxiety can have negative mental health impacts, it also reflects heightened awareness of the issue and can motivate people to take action. Thank you. I will be now passing it off back to Gavin.
All right, thanks, Quincy. So, what can we actually do about climate anxiety? Something that researchers suggested was just getting involved in something you care about. Psychologist Sarah Lowe, in a Yale sustainability article, mentioned just taking action, even small things, can help you feel less helpless and more in control, instead of just worrying about the problem, which is climate change. She also talks about having what's called a smart media diet. It's important to stay informed, but if you're just constantly seeing negative news or the same scary headlines over and over and over again, it can get overwhelming. So it's really just about finding the balance. And another big issue is that this climate anxiety problem isn't just on individuals. Climate anxiety is often treated like a personal problem, but a lot of responsibility is on governments and people in power to actually listen to the concerns and include people, especially younger generations, in the decisions that affect them. So overall, it's a mix of doing what you can personally do, while also recognizing that bigger changes need to happen too. And that concludes our presentation. We hope you enjoyed it. Here are our sources, and feel free to email us at any of these email addresses with any questions you guys have. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.